Cloth or disposable? Crib or bassinet?
So when it comes to protection, go with the safest, most effective choice, vaccination. Get all the recommended vaccines for your baby by age 2 to protect your child against 14 serious childhood diseases. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor. Go to cdc.gov/vaccines or call 800-CDC-INFO. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Mostly cloudy with showers on and off through the afternoon, a high near 40 degrees, your overnight low of 35 with a few scattered showers remaining. We'll see those scattered showers through the earlier part of your Tuesday, otherwise mostly cloudy with temperatures in the low 50s for daytime highs. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
I'm not a Monday guy.
I'm not crazy about it either. I also don't like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays.
Are you ready to go?
I'm warning you, I'm seriously stressed out here.
You always drink like this so early in the morning?
Isn't it a bit early in the day for the bottle, even for you?
Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
Make the radio call.
It's time to get up.
It's time to hear that pop.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
We are go for live.
Something to think about, something to laugh about, and something to talk about every day. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Welcome to Monday. Hope your weekend went well. We're talking about a lot of different things this morning here. Hope you'll stick around for the whole shebang, but if not, pick and choose what strikes your fancy. Plans for Wheeling Park High School students to return to classrooms today have been scuttled. Ohio County is now back to red on the COVID map. In fact, COVID numbers around West Virginia did increase over the weekend. New website up today for those 65 and older to register for the COVID vaccines when those vaccines become available. Ohio County Health Administrator Howard Gamble coming in to talk about that. Governor Justice's inauguration was set for this weekend and was held this weekend. We will talk to Ogden newspaper reporter Stephen Allen Adams about the governor's plans for his second terms. And the question I have is, did he bring out the tackle box again and the axe? He did it in his first inaugural address. Did the tackle box and axe come out again? We'll talk to Stephen about that coming up a bit later on. 2 broadcasting deaths to take note of today. One, a pioneer in the early days of Ohio Valley television and radio, and the other, a trailblazing radio, TV, talk show host across the country. We'll take some time to talk about him. Impeachment articles come to the U.S. Senate today. Trial date is now set in early February. We'll look at some possible Trump Republican defense strategies, and I'm going to surprise you about some things I'm going to say about that. Super Bowl is set as well after this weekend's playoff games. All of these stories and much more coming up this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. If you have something you want to add to the mix, you know what to do. Use the text line, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, or you may feel free, if you'd like to use the CityNet hotline, 304-232-8255, 304-232-TALK, and we're happy to get you on the phone lines. Now, it's going to be another gray and overcast day today. Some freezing fog, Zach says, could develop this morning on your windshields, and the potential for some slick spots on the roadways. High today of 36. Right now it's 27 degrees, and the winds are calm, so 27 feels like 27. 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 27 degrees at my home studios here in Elm Grove, and 27 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. And Biff, the roads are getting a little bit slippery, or are a little bit slippery out there. I'm seeing on my Facebook page a lot of people saying that there's black ice. At first I saw a lot of reports of black ice in Marshall County, but now I'm seeing, as I just skimmed through Facebook, a number of people saying black ice in Elm Grove and elsewhere as well. My wife just took the trash out this morning and when she came back in, she said it was very slippery outside as well. The roads are slippery, Beth. You have at least had a chance to peek out and be out. I've been inside the whole time.
Yes, I can confirm that. In certain spots, pay attention because when the street lights do hit the roads in certain spots, it's got that glare that you can kind of tell that there's ice there. And if you have to go out early this morning, make sure you leave a little bit of time because the windshield and windows this morning was kind of weird. It was almost like a little bit of just like enough layer of snow, and then there was ice. And when you took the scraper and put it on the windshield, you could get the ice going, and it was okay. And if you put the defrost or whatever on in the car, it's enough to where just the defrost alone will melt whatever's left, but it's getting started with the ice first to get it off. But, yeah, pay attention out there this morning because, again, in certain spots there is black ice.
Yeah, I have a text on that, too, concurring with exactly what you said, Biffy. Main roads seem pretty good, but all back roads are covered in black ice, very slippery, according to a text that I have coming in here this morning. So if you want to give me any road reports specifically where you are, feel free to do that, 304-214-1600. But I guess bottom line is going to be a little bit of ice out there this morning, and it could be that black ice, which is a little bit hard to see, so be careful. As Biff said, one, you have to give yourself time to scrape a tad this morning. Zach concurs with that over at the Big 7. And number two, be careful driving because we do have some black ice out there. So I guess I'm glad I'm just ensconced here nice and warm inside the home studios. I'm just barely waking up this morning, though, Biff. How was your weekend?
Good weekend. Really didn't do a whole lot. I had planned on going over and watching hockey this weekend and living over at the arena, but the weekend set of games were postponed because of COVID, so just kind of took it easy, watched football yesterday, and that was pretty much it, really.
Playoff game's over. Super Bowl is now set. What do you think of the Super Bowl, Chiefs and Buccaneers?
It's going to be a weird Super Bowl with the fact that the Super Bowl being in Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is going to have home field advantage for the Super Bowl by defeating Green Bay. So Tampa Bay doesn't have to worry about traveling. I mean, they're already going to be there. Kansas City is going to be the only one of the two teams having to travel to Tampa Bay, and it's going to be a little weird this year because Kansas City is not going to get down there until the Friday before the Super Bowl. So that's a little strange because normally, all the festivities and the build up towards the Super Bowl and everything else that they have, apparently they're going to do away with this year. So Kansas City will not be arriving in Tampa Bay until the 5th, I think, the Friday before the Super Bowl. So I think we're going to see a good Super Bowl. I think it's going to be somewhat close, but the thing with the Super Bowl is you don't know. I mean, who's going to be the guy that we probably haven't heard too much about? They're going to step up and make a play? Is there going to be something that we don't expect to happen? It will happen. You never know with the Super Bowl. That's what makes all the prop bets interesting. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think we're in store for a good one.
Well, you get two big-name quarterbacks going after each other, Brady and Mahomes, so that should be kind of interesting.
Yeah, you got the old guy taking on the young guy, Brady and Mahomes. So it's going to be fun.
You vote for youth and vigor or age and experience,
You know what? I think Kansas City has some more weapons that Mahomes can use. So right now I'm going to say Kansas City is going to win a close Super Bowl. I can see it being a one-possession game, either by a field goal or by 7 is going to be my guess. So
You pointed out something, too. The Super Bowl is always a festivity. It's a big event. I mean, it's a huge, it's one of our major national events. I think more people pay attention to the Super Bowl than they do the 4th of July sometimes, and there's usually 2 weeks worth of lead up and festivities and interviews and just all sorts of stuff happening. And if you're there, I mean, it's a great place to be, and there's all kinds of festivals, not festivals, but parties and stuff to go to. It's going to be a much quieter one this year because of COVID.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be.
It's basically going to be a football game, basically.
Pretty much. I mean, it's going to look a lot different than Super Bowls past.
Yeah. Well, again, it'll be something for us to remember, I guess, right?
Just add that to the list
Remember the Super Bowl where nothing happened except the game?
Yeah, add it to the list of memorable things from the year.
From the year America shut down. Yeah, indeed. I want to talk about COVID in a minute or two here. A couple of things I want to get to, including some of the numbers just real quick. Also, in a minute, we'll talk about the new COVID vaccination site, because I hope everybody understands what it is going to do and what it's not going to do, because I'm getting the sense some people are confused about this. So I will share some information with you and my thoughts on it. We will talk to Howard Gamble from the Health Department later about how they're gearing up for it and what kind of changes that might make for them. We'll talk about the clinic they held, the vaccination clinic at the Marshall County Fairgrounds over the weekend. Very well run, I must say. We'll get into that. So we got a lot to talk about on the COVID front in a minute or two here. And I came across a number yesterday that really bugs me and should bug everybody here in the Upper Ohio Valley. And it is the disparity between what other counties are getting in terms of COVID vaccines and what we're getting. And then it's a staggering difference. Now, I'll share some of these numbers with you coming up in a minute as well. So we'll get into all of that, plus a look at a couple of broadcasting legends who have passed away, one local, one national. That's coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show as well. It's almost 7:20, 20 after the hour. Some black ice out there. Be a little bit careful if you're out and about driving around this morning. Going to be that way for much of the morning. 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 27 here at my home studios. 27 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, about coronavirus. That's a good idea. Oh, good. Bring it right there. Maybe we can make a few. We can make a few extra bucks by being a meat locker as well.
If he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yup.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Oh, there's something so real about living local, and I know without a doubt I'm not alone. And I'm loving living local. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
from the Watchdog Network. Right now, traffic. Here's the latest from the Robinson Auto Group Traffic Center.
Traffic near the Highlands, on Washington Avenue, and on the Fort Henry Bridge is flowing. Traffic near the Ohio Valley Mall, on 70 and 470, and on State Route 7 is on its normal pattern. There will be alternating right and left lane closures on I-70 westbound from the Route 250 I-70 interchange through the Wheeling Tunnel. The I-70 westbound ramp from Route 250 will be closed to traffic. The Market Street overpass width reduction will continue. I-70 construction will continue westbound where crossovers are in effect. And all existing detours and closures will continue for the I-70 Bridges project. Follow Ohio Valley Traffic Report on Facebook, WTRF7 News, and the Watchdog for updates.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Mostly cloudy with showers on and off through the afternoon, a high near 40 degrees. Your overnight low of 35 with a few scattered showers remaining. We'll see those scattered showers through the earlier part of your Tuesday. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with temperatures in the low 50s for daytime highs. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
WKKX and WVLY voted coolest couple in their high school yearbook.
COVID-19 update.
Continuing coverage of the year America shut down continues on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Latest numbers I have for West Virginia reflect Saturday's numbers, and we saw a pretty significant increase in COVID positive tests between Friday and Saturday. Friday, the number of positive tests was 545. Saturday, 1,137. So the numbers are rising there. 17 deaths in the weekend report came out as well. Overall death count in West Virginia, 1,872. But the good news is hospitalizations are down. Hospitalizations are at 624. That is around the entire state of West Virginia. Somebody asked me yesterday what's happening at Wheeling Hospital, and the short answer is I actually don't know. I should have checked on that, and I didn't. But across the state, at least, hospitalizations are now at 624, and that is the lowest number of COVID patients since very early in December. So cases were rising over the weekend, but hospitalizations at the moment, at least, are down. So are we moving forward, moving backwards? I think part of the problem is that we're still sort of jumping around. We're still not, I don't know that we've found a trend yet. Now, West Virginia still has the lowest R-naught value, community spread value in the country, so that's very positive there as well. We have the lowest R-naught value of community spread, so that's good. And the state says it's used up all of its 156,300 doses of vaccine that it had targeted so far. For round one of shots, it had 51% of the doses set aside for the second round have already been used. So again, it's kind of, there's some good news, there's some bad news. I think it's just very, very fluctuating. Another way to point that out has to do with the school situation. We were at orange in Ohio County for a day or two. Then we bumped back to red. Not Ohio County. All schools were to begin high school in-person classes now. And that depended, of course, on the map. And originally they thought they'd be able to get Wheeling Park High School back into the classroom today. But after the maps came out over the weekend, the Ohio County schools determined that today will be another remote day because of the COVID map. Ohio County says they're going to have all of their teachers go live today. So this is not sending out packets of information or videos. There's going to be a live meeting with teachers and their students to review their classes for the second semester, to take a look at all their plans and so on. And I believe they're going to be taking attendance. So just because it's remote, don't think you don't have to show up, because they're going to be taking attendance as well. And then what about tomorrow in Ohio County at Wheeling Park High School? Well, going to have to wait and see how the map comes out today. Comes out at what, 10 o'clock? Is that right, Biffy?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out at 10 o'clock, but we'll see.
Although the Saturday map didn't come out till 4, so but should come out at 10 o'clock, and then we'll have a better idea of whether kids at Wheeling Park High School go back to the classroom tomorrow, or if they're continuing on their remote work. And apparently now the West Virginia School Board has scared all the counties into complying with their order. You know, I'm still upset about this. The state school board, following Governor Justice's order, insisted that all county school systems begin in-person learning last week for K through 8, and then 8 through 12 this week. They insisted everybody begin in-person classes. Several county school districts decided not to. Individual counties on the ground, people elected by their county who know their county better, said, no, the numbers here are still bad, the spread is bad, we're going to stay remote. And the state school board, I keep getting that confused, I apologize. The state school board basically blackmailed them, said, listen, you don't do that, we won't count your days as days in class, you'll have to make them up later, blah, 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 blah. The issue is in court. The WVEA and the AFT West Virginia have taken them to court. We've not had a ruling on that yet, as far as I know. But but apparently the threat was enough. There were 3 counties left over the weekend who were still saying, wait a minute, we know better than you do down there in Charleston what is good for our school district, and we're going to stay remote. But after the threat from the state school board, Marion, Taylor, and Gilmer counties all said, no mas. We give in. We will all go back to school on either a full in-class schedule, or the state school board did say you could do the blended schedule, a couple days on, couple days off. So blackmail worked, and the state school board blackmailed the schools that had a local decision and insisted they follow their statewide authority. Statewide authority. We have the statewide authority. I really think somewhere along the way that needs to be revisited. I don't know. I think there's going to be a constitutional issue here. That's where I think this is going to end up in court, the whole issue of the constitutional issue. We need to get this resolved. Local school districts should have the ability to make local school decisions. I mean, that's just, in my opinion, the way it is. Of course, switching from testing to vaccines, I did get my vaccine over the weekend on Friday, and I must say it was an unbelievably well-run clinic down at Marshall County Fairgrounds. This was Ohio, Marshall, Wetzel, and Tyler counties. All 4 counties were together. All went to the Chevron building at the Marshall County Fairgrounds. And I got to tell you, the health departments of those 4 counties working together, along with a group of volunteers, really very efficient. Well marked, to go pull in here. You pulled up to the front door if you needed wheelchairs. They had an armada of wheelchairs there, and an awful lot of people were elderly and in wheelchairs and getting in their wheelchairs, being wheeled inside. And parking was parking was well organized for those who, once you got out and somebody had to go park. And I tell you, it was unbelievably efficient. I mean, you walked in, asked for your name, found you on the list, took your temperature, within 5 seconds, and gave you a little pamphlet of some kind and said, go over there, sit down on a chair and wait. We sat in a chair. I don't think it wasn't 2 minutes when they said, okay, your turn, go up here to the table. My wife actually, I think my wife was treated by Marshall County Health Department. I was by Ohio County. In fact, Dr. Wack, the Ohio County Health doctor, gave me my injection. But it was, boom, there's your injection. Put on a little piece of Band-Aid. Here's your card that says you've been injected. Here's a piece of paper that says you when to come back for your second shot. Walk over there and sit down for 10 minutes until we're sure you're not going to have a reaction, and head out the door. I mean, the whole thing was just exceedingly well run. Very, very efficient. And when you consider that there were 4 counties involved, Ohio, Marshall, Wetzel, Tyler counties, all were involved in this. Very, very, very well run. And again, I saw an awful lot of very elderly folks. I know I'm elderly too, but an awful lot of very elderly folks in wheelchairs and so on, who needed to be escorted and helped, and they were there to help them very, very much. The issue is, and of course, today begins this new COVID website, COVID vaccine registration website, the Governor Justice announced on Friday. Now, here's where I'm worried that people are going to get confused. As of this morning, you can go online. I want to say vaccine.wv.gov. I'll double check that for sure. I think that's it. You can go online. You just fill out a form. Put in your basic information and click submit. And you are then in the system, and you will be assigned a vaccination time when there is vaccine available. Now, if you're not internet savvy, they have a phone number you can call. And again, we'll get these numbers for you later. Howard Gamble's going to join us with more details to talk about it. But here's what worries me, Biffy. I hope people understand. This is just to get you on a piece of paper. This is not to get you a vaccine until we have vaccines. And that's the problem. We don't have enough vaccines. We're not getting enough vaccines. So I'm afraid people are going to believe that once they've called this number or gone on this website, filled out their information, that somehow they are now ready to go get a vaccine. Now, hopefully it will be soon. Hopefully it will be, and you'll be called and told when your time is. But I hope everybody understands this is a registration, not a appointment website. And I'm worried that people will be confused by that. But I came across a number over the weekend, Biff, that really bothered me. And I do understand, of course, some counties are bigger, some counties are smaller. I understand that. Ohio County received, I want to say 135. I thought it was 400 for all 4 counties, which on average turned out to be 100. But a couple of the folks at the clinic on Friday said that they got 135 total vaccines in Ohio County. 135. That's not a lot, considering how many people needed to get vaccinated. But what I saw over the weekend from my friend, a former Wheeling native, Amy Schuler-Goodwin, the mayor of Charleston, in Ohio County on Friday, 135 vaccines. In Kanawha County, Biff, 3,870 vaccines. Now, I understand that they're a bigger county and I would expect more, but that much more? 3,870 vaccinations were given out in Kanawha County, in Charleston specifically, on Friday, compared to 135 available in Ohio County. That's just not right. I mean, there's got to be a better way of doing this.
Well, it just goes back, add that to the list of things that, Charleston, it's their way of saying they don't like us up here. And that's how they that's how they show it. I mean, it's with anything else. Up here in the Northern Panhandle, we're forgotten about, and they just don't care about us down in Charleston. It's plain and simple. And this is another way of doing it. This is a slap in the face to the people up here in the Northern Panhandle.
Well, I would agree with that. I mean, I think it is a real slap in the face. I mean, how can you explain that big a disparity? Again, I understand they're a bigger county, all right? and therefore probably would be allocated more vaccines than Ohio County. But that's an unbelievably big difference. 135 for Ohio County, and I assume, Marshall and elsewhere, compared to 3,870 in Charleston. Well, we're the seat of government, The governor lives here. Well, actually, I guess he doesn't use the Greenbrier, but you get my point. I mean, I just don't see how that possibly can be right. In Monongalia County, one day last week, or within the last couple of weeks, I forget when I heard that, but I heard, while Ohio County, again, our numbers tend to roam around 100 or so vaccines at a time when we get them. In Mon County, in one day, they did 756. Something's not right. Something's not right. And it's not like I know there's conspiracy theories out there, but it's not like anybody's holding the vaccine back. They don't want us to have it here in Ohio County. Like damn Howard Gamble, he's hiding it from us. That's not the case. They're going to push it out as quickly as they can. They're just not getting them. So there's a lot we're going to have to worry about and work on to get this whole vaccine thing down better. Now, I understand that there's not a vaccines period coming into the state. I mean, that's a reality. There's not enough coming into the state to vaccinate everybody, or even those in the categories that have already been chosen, 80 plus, 70 plus, now 65 plus. I understand that. But there has to be, it's got to be a better way. And I don't mean a way of distributing them. I mean a way of bringing them in and allocating them. 3,800 in Kanawha County, almost 800 in Mon County, and then 100 in Ohio County. Nah, something isn't right. Something isn't right, and they gotta figure that out. All right, that's my COVID update here this morning. But again, if you're interested, go to the website. Again, I think it's vaccine.wv.gov. I think that's what it is. I'll double check it. Or you can call and get registered. Some people called over the weekend. You weren't supposed to be able to do that, I understand, but some people called over the weekend and they answered the phone and they did get registered. Some people called and they answered the phone and said, sorry, we can't do it till Monday, but I guess somebody got a couple of nice ladies or women or men who said, we'll just take your information anyways. But anyways, as of today, you can call a phone number or go to the website. Just put your information in. It's just, they basically gather basic information, name, address, age. I don't know what else. I think maybe some medical information. And then you're on a list. But keep in mind, you're only on a list. You're not guaranteed a vaccine just yet. So that's I just worry that people get very angry when they discover that they were not actually getting a vaccine. They were simply getting an appointment. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everybody understood it. But I think some folks are going to be disappointed. Well, you might be disappointed if you thought it was going to be a good day today weather-wise, because right now we're looking at some black ice on the roads. We'll talk about that and more with Zach Petty from the Big 7 coming up in only a minute or two as we head, first of all, to the news desk of the Big 7. And then Mr. DeFabio has our morning sports for us. We are the Watchdog Morning Show for a Monday.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your local news headlines from
Marijuana and bourbon.
After losing their first 2 games, the Penguins have now won 4 in a row. Well, it's Tampa Bay and Kansas City in Super Bowl 55. In the NFC title game, the Bucs defeated the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau 31-26. By the way, Tom Brady will be playing in his 10th Super Bowl game. Can you believe it? 10 Super Bowls. Over in the AFC title game played in Kansas City, the Chiefs over the Buffalo Bills by the score of 38-24. By the way, the Super Bowl will be played in Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers with the home field advantage. The Pittsburgh Pirates traded Jamison Tyone to the New York Yankees for 4 prospects. So this rebuild continues for the Pirates. Right now, they might be, on paper, the worst team in Major League Baseball. Be safe. Be considerate of others. Please check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on Sports on AM 1600, and we are the Watchdog.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-TALK.
There's a time and a place for everything, including a different point of view. This is that time and place. You're listening to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
A couple of broadcaster deaths I want to get into in a few minutes here. Of course, Larry King, the quintessential talk show host, was on CNN, on radio. Wheeling, West Virginia. Hello. We'll talk about Larry King, his life, career, and his death coming up in a bit. And a broadcast pioneer here in the Upper Ohio Valley, one of the guys who was in the early days of radio and then television here in our area, passed away this weekend. Just a delightful guy, a good guy. Used to love talking television and radio with him, and we'll get into that too. But first, let's talk about the weather. With us from the Big 7 is Zach Petty. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning, Howard. How are you this Monday morning?
I'm hearing there's a lot of black ice out there. I'm seeing a lot of Facebook posts. I'm getting a number of texts on that. People saying a little bit of caution is needed today. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. And of course, caution was one of our weekday weather words for your Monday, just to err on the side of caution because there's freezing fog. That's probably one thing that you're noticing on the windshield. There's a little layer of ice. Biff and I were talking about it whenever I called in this morning, how he was lucky. He just had to scrape off a little bit, and then he was able to use the defrosters where, since I live up at a little higher elevation, I actually had a pretty heavy ice on my windshield this morning, so I had to scrape it off a little bit longer. I wasn't able to use my defrosters to allow it to all get melted off. And then some slick spots on the roadways due to some freezing temperatures. We're noticing out-the-door temperatures right now over at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, hovering right around 27. At least one thing we're not dealing with are anything in terms of wind chill. So 27 is what it feels like. Calm winds reported, but we're also dealing with some foggy conditions as well. I have reduced visibility of 2.5 miles over at the airport. So some valley fog being seen near the Ohio River. Again, just a lot of lower level moisture, just really causing some havoc this morning. Luckily, I'm not reporting or not seeing anything in terms of accidents on any of the roadways. So it looks like everyone is erring on the side of caution and not going too crazy fast on the roadways this morning.
Some of the notes that I'm seeing both on Facebook and also on my text messaging, getting a lot of reports out of Moundsville, particularly the slightly higher elevations, Route 250 and so on. A lot of black ice there. Be careful. Here's someone that says sidewalks and roads in Wheeling are very icy. Go slow. Take it safe. black ice in Elm Grove this morning. So, again, just be careful, be cautious, I guess, because it could be a slippery morning. And if it's the black ice, it's not always easy to see. That's why they call it black ice. So be a little bit careful, because you may not realize you're about to hit a patch of ice until you're already sliding.
Right. No, yeah, especially on those untreated sidewalks, especially if you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to go get the paper out on, and you have to go down your driveway. Something that, again, there's the chance and the potential for the black ice. So, hey, if you're heading out, just, give someone a heads up, like, hey, I'm going out in case you fall and need help getting up or anything like that.
Right.
Just keep an eye on others and try to be as friendly as possible. Just keeping everyone up to date, like you have the people sending you in the text messages, like, hey, black ice, it's if your phone's getting blown up, yes, it might get annoying, but it's also beneficial and helpful for others, because that might help someone else out. You know what I mean?
And you made a good point, by the way, that it doesn't always have to be that you're going to go get in your car and drive 20 miles. It could just be, you're right, going down to get the newspaper at the end of the driveway. Or my wife was taking trash out earlier this morning, and she came back in and told me, she said, oh, it's very slippery out there. Got to watch out for that. So it doesn't always have to be that you're driving 20 miles or something. It could just be as simple as walking down your front steps. Be careful.
Taking the dog out for a walk this morning, too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a good point. Temperature going to warm up a little bit. Push close to 40, not quite there yet today. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. It looks like today's actually, as we were talking all last week, how I've been boring for most of January. Well, we have a pretty active pattern this work week. Actually, we have a lot to talk about, especially today and tomorrow. So we have a low pressure system that's actually in through portions of Missouri, Oklahoma, into the eastern, if not central Midwest right now. That's going to continue to push northeastward into the upper Ohio Valley by dinner time today. Now, we're not going to deal with the center of the low. And one positive note is that we're not going to really see too much in terms of impactful snow. It's hardly any snow for us in the northern panhandle in southeastern Ohio. I'm expecting to see rain showers starting to develop right around dinner time. Now, there is a small chance that we see some freezing rain into the northern parts of Jefferson County, upwards of Hancock and Brooke County. The National Weather Service has not issued a winter weather advisory for any one of the counties in the northern panhandle right now. It's just off into Beaver County, as well as extending up into Columbiana and Carroll County into Ohio. Now, there's the possibility that maybe the northern portions of Jefferson County and Hancock County, you get in on the winter weather advisory due to the chance of some freezing rainfall. But most of the temperatures, like we talked about, mid to upper 30s, if not flirting with 40 degrees, that'll keep most of the rain or most of the precipitation falling as rain. But it'll be one of those cold rains that, yes, you'll need the umbrellas, but hopefully you have the heavy winter jacket and it's waterproof, because if you get wet, you're just going to be downright miserable because, 40 degrees, it's still pretty close to freezing. And looks like cold rain is expected through the overnight hours, but most of that should taper off early tomorrow morning. And tomorrow is going to be the warmest day of the work week with temperatures in the mid-40s.
All right, and then what's the rest of the week looking like?
So it looks like we have another system swinging through late Wednesday. Now, again, this is still a little bit far out, but models are hinting at some snow flurries coming late Wednesday evening, but then cold air will be pumped in through the end of the work week, with temperatures hovering right around the freezing mark for Thursday and Friday with mostly cloudy skies. It looks like we could filter in just a little bit more sunshine for your Friday, so there will be the bright spot in your 7-day forecast. Looks to be Friday, and then the weekend, as of now, looks like it's going to be a little dull and a little dreary as we begin to usher in to February already. It's so crazy. We already went through 1 month by this coming weekend, honestly, with February 1st being Monday, the last weekend of January 2021 already. Feels like the month flew by. Looks like it's a little gray with a chance of seeing some precipitation as well.
It's hard to believe. You're right. You're coming close to the end of the first month of 2021 already. Jeez. Well, I guess time flies when you're having fun, you know?
Right. As long as it goes by faster than that March 2020.
Yeah. 27 at the airport, and winds are fairly calm, so 27 feels like 27. First time we could say that in a good while. We have no wind chill really to worry about, just 27 degrees, but that's cold. So, so be aware of that. And I see my storm tracker says a little bit of fog maybe is up there as well.
Yep. Yeah, definitely some reduced visibility. So again, another reason just to stay cautious on the roadways, not only for the black ice, but due to the reduced visibility in some of those valley areas.
All right. Sounds good, Zach. I appreciate it. Thanks for your Monday morning help. We will all be careful out there on the highways, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Sounds cool. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe.
Thanks, you too. I appreciate it. Zach Petty from the Big 7 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. It's 7:53, 7 before the hour. Biff, we have some new road situations on I-70 beginning today too, right? They're going to be closing some of the ramps today. Do you have that information in front of you? I think I'm looking through my notes here. I thought I had it here. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes, I think it is right here. Yeah, this is from the West Virginia Department of Transportation. It says there will be alternating right and left lane closures on I-70 westbound starting today and running through Friday, January 29th is when it is expected.
So all week this week.
Yeah, the closures are the Route 250 I-70 interchange through the Wheeling Tunnel and the I-70 westbound ramp from Route 250. And it'll be between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And again, it is expected to be lifted Friday, January 29th.
All right, and these will be alternating, so you just kind of play it by ear. If you're heading I-70 westbound, some of those ramps could be closed, alternating from time to time, anytime during the day, all day long, all week long. So do be aware of that. I did find my note here. I like what they've got on this. Heads up, phones down.
Yes.
That's the way to approach it, I guess.
Yeah. What else? After that, then it says, motorists be alert for changing traffic patterns and expect delays.
Yep. So they're starting to do some, I guess they're starting to get ready to turn things around. You know, we've been working, they're getting ready to do some additional work now on the interstate. Actually, I think I saw, give me one quick second here. I think I saw a note this morning from, here is on the Ohio Valley Road Report Facebook page, a note from a guy working with Swank Construction. He says, we're back to work today. We're starting back into the road construction phase. Watch out for men and women as they'll be out working in these less than ideal conditions. Please use caution while out driving. There could be slick and icy spots in construction zones. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. So, yeah, that's a good point. The crews have been kind of quiet for a while. They're back out working again, so please be careful. Watch out for them. And all the time, but particularly with the roads being a little bit slippery, you want to watch out for that. Again, if any of you have any road situations specifically you want to pass along to me, and I'll pass it along to Biff. Well, I will pass it along to Biff, but pass it along to the audience. Just text me, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, and we'll certainly pass along any of those informations that you have. Let's see here. 250 Moundsville, very icy this morning, sliding around on Route 250, just some of the different notes that I'm looking at here. Most roads in the Ohio Valley have black ice on them. There's some accidents being called in from different parts of the county. This is about an hour ago, so beware for that. All right, so basically what Zach was saying, just be careful. Just be careful out there. We're looking at some black ice, and you may have to scrape your windshield too, as Biff was telling you. Coming up in the next hour of the show, we'll kick things off with Howard Gamble from the Ohio County Health Department. Howard and I will talk about this new website that's going to be, I guess it's up and running now, or will be maybe at 8 o'clock, so it should be in a couple of minutes here, where you can go online and get registered for the COVID vaccine. And hopefully this will avoid all those folks who couldn't get through when they were having to call into the health department numbers. Hopefully, I say. I have this horrible fear, Biff, that they're going to open that website up and something's going to go wrong, but but hopefully not.
Fingers
Website
crossed it
is
all
up.
goes good.
Yeah, let's hope that it all goes good. Website is up, or will be, I think, just in a couple of minutes. There's a phone number available if you don't trust, or if you're not good about going online, you can call. Now, you still may, because you're calling, you may end up having to call a few times, but they will get your information and put it on the website. So Howard Gamble and I will talk about that coming up in the next hour of the show. And then I still want to talk about the death of Larry King, who he was an unusual interviewer, but I learned some things from him. I really did. And we'll talk about that. And Frank Curtis, who was one of the original broadcasters here in the Upper Ohio Valley, passed away at the age of 95 over the weekend. Frank was among those who helped put what later came to be known as WAMP radio on the air. When it went on in 1953, it was WTRF, and everybody was confused what TRF meant, and Frank is the one who explained it to me. WTRF meant with two radio frequencies, WTRF, because they had an AM and FM, first one in town to have them both. So we'll talk about the death of Frank Curtis and some of the old stories that he used to tell. I loved talking about the old days. But first, we'll check in with ABC. They cover the world. That's next here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC.
Okay, Biffy's supposed to have Howard Gamble on at 8:10. Keep in mind the last time he forgot, so I reminded him yesterday, and I told him, I'll send him a note here again. I told him I'd remind him this morning, but if he ends up getting busy or something else happens or he forgets, we'll just have to punt. Assuming he's on, then I'm going to do the Larry King stuff in the second half hour of the show, of this hour. And Stephen Adams at 9:10, just so you know. And other than that, we'll just see what happens. Alrighty, I'm gonna get some more coffee or Dr. Pepper. What should it be? Well, maybe get one of each. I don't know. I'll go see. Get both. I might get both. Back in a minute.
Enjoy clear cell phone talking and fast mobile internet on your smartphone all the time. Call 1-855-846-2654 or visit signalbooster.com.
And vaccinate.wv.gov will be up and running this morning at 8 a.m., allowing residents to re-register for vaccinations. You can also receive updates through text, phone calls, and email. If you're already registered for a wait list through your local health department, don't worry, you won't need to sign up again. You'll be automatically added to the new system. Anyone who doesn't have the ability
See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Mostly cloudy with showers on and off through the afternoon, a high near 40 degrees, your overnight low of 35 with a few scattered showers remaining. We'll see those scattered showers through the earlier part of your Tuesday, otherwise mostly cloudy, with temperatures in the low 50s for daytime highs. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Conversations you care about with people you know. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Welcome to Monday. Some of the things we're taking note of over the course of the next couple of hours. Plans for Wheeling Park High School students to return to classrooms today have been scuttled as Ohio County went back to red over the weekend on the COVID map. So it's going to be today at least a remote learning day for Wheeling Park High School students. Left to wait until 10 to see what the map shows for tomorrow. A new website up today for those 65 and older to register for COVID vaccines when they become available. Ohio County Health Administrator Howard Gamble going to join us to give us a little bit more detail about how that whole thing is going to work. COVID numbers across the state increased over the weekend, although hospitalizations were down. Governor Justice's inauguration was held this weekend. A bit of a big ceremony, as much of a big ceremony as you can have in COVID. Of course, he'd originally been sworn in earlier in the week. This was just an official ceremony and a speech and so on. Our friend Stephen Allen Adams, the Ogden newspaper, was video watching it and reported on it. And he and I would talk about the governor's plans for a second term. And I want to find out if he used his tackle box and axe again that he had in his first inaugural speech. That's coming up in the next hour of the show. 2 broadcasting deaths to take note of today. A pioneer in the early days of Ohio Valley television and radio, Frank Curtis, passed away. We'll take a minute or two to talk about that, as well as a trailblazing nationwide radio and TV talk show host. And I'm talking, of course, about Larry King. We'll look back on some of the highlights of his career in radio and in television. Impeachment articles come to the U.S. Senate today, and the trial date is now set. We'll look at some possible Trump Republican defense strategies that they might be using when the trial comes. And the Super Bowl is set. Biff and I were kicking that around in the last hour of the show. Now, weather-wise, we're looking for a gray and overcast day today. Look for maybe some freezing fog to develop on windshields this morning. Probably going to have to use your windshield scraper. A light scrape down low, a heavier scrape up high. There is also the serious potential for slick spots on the roadway. Some patchy sleet has been seen this morning, and I'm getting a lot of reports coming in on my Facebook page and on my text line about black ice. So you do want to be aware of that. Black ice is a bit dangerous because you never can tell when you're about to hit it, so please be careful about that. And that will continue with us for a while. 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, and there's not much in the way of rain to worry or winds to worry about. So that 27 feels pretty much like 27 degrees, which at least it's good there are no winds out there. But again, watch out for the black ice. 27 at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 27 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley, and 27 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling as well. So we'll talk to Howard Gamble coming up in a couple of minutes. I hope. I know Howard has a lot of things to do these days, but hopefully he can give us a few minutes of his time to talk about this new website. And Howard Gamble is with us now, administrator at the Wheeling, Ohio County Health Department. Howard, good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, let me commend you. I thought it was an unbelievably efficiently run clinic you guys had at the fairgrounds on Friday. I was really impressed with how everything worked so slick.
Well, you got 3 counties work in that clinic from Wetzel Tyler, which is a combined health department, Marshall, and us. So between the three, we've done a lot of mass, large community-style clinics as well as our internal, at our office clinics. So it runs pretty well. But I have to admit, the volunteer corps that came out, especially from the Marshall County community, was made all the difference to pull off a successful event as early in the morning as it was.
I know the regional event was, I think, a good way to do it. But
plus, you're asking people to drive at times to an hour and a half, and you're asking them to drive an hour and a half in the winter months. And so when you look at it, would it be better to hold clinics on a local level? It would, and county health departments acknowledge that. It's an old public health practice that access to care is just not accessing care by way of your insurance, or do you have the correct funds to access care, but it's also how do you get to it. And so if you make barriers such as an hour and a half drive, people will pass it up. But we only had a few cancellations. Most of the folks attended. We are going to look to fall back to more county-wide vaccine programs in the future with some of our partners, which hopefully will be announced shortly for the February month. But it does work better if you don't have to travel as far.
And if Friday was a pretty good day, if it had turned out to be a day like today where there's some black ice on the roads and so on, it would make it even more difficult for people to get long distances. So I get that. But again, I just thought I was amazed at how smooth it was, how quick it was, easy to get in, get out. Everybody was really well organized. The wheelchair armada, was ready to go for the many folks who showed up that needed wheelchair assistance. And I just was really impressed at how efficiently the whole thing was run. But Howard, you've been getting, and when I say you, I mean you personally, your health department, and all the local health departments have been getting an awful lot of complaints about people not being able to get appointments scheduled for things like last Friday's clinic. Is this new website, registration website that the governor is putting up starting today, is that going to help with that, do you think?
Well, it answers a lot of the complaints that we received that the public did not, no matter where they were, they did not like calling in and trying to get an appointment. Now, people got appointments, people got vaccinated, but the frustration is I had to call and I never got a response. It was always busy. And we kind of knew a registry system was on the horizon, but we had vaccine coming, and we had to use the best system we had for the short time frame to get that vaccine out fast. Remember, I only have when I get vaccine, I am asked to expend it quickly, not to hold it and not to wait for a great registry system, and it all matches and it's wonderful. As soon as I get it, all counties and other community venues are asked to spend that vaccine as quick as you can. So the system we had was just call in, get your appointment, go get your vaccine, but it wasn't popular. So this new system is kind of fitting into what the public was looking for, which is I can go online, put my information in, or I can call a number and give my information and then wait for either a call or notification of where I need to report to either start the process for my first dose or eventually get my second dose.
Howard, one of the things I worry that people may misconstrue this website for, this is a registration website, but not an appointment website. In other words,
correct.
You'll be in the system, and when vaccines become available in your area, you will then be plugged into some kind of a schedule, and you'll be called when you're. But just getting on the website, and I mean, I think it's a very positive step. But I'm worried that people will think that by having made this phone call, they're now ready to get their vaccine, and that's not really what this is.
Right, and then that was one of the driving factors of calling in. When you called in, you got an appointment. You had a time, and that time matched the dose that was in our coolers. Now, this is what the public wanted, which I'm putting my information in, and I will wait for my call. And it may be a little while, as we know vaccine is slowing down across the country, or it could be I have the luck of the draw, my appointment is Friday. And we are standing up another clinic on Friday with the 3 county health departments again. But that will be, all those appointments will be based on the registration system. We are no longer.
So you do have another, this coming Friday, you have another vaccination clinic?
Yes. We were asked to do another one. It's probably going to work better to do it as a region again. Keep in mind, we already have to repeat the second dose as a region because the way the vaccine arrived, we got 400 doses, but the staff were able to use an 11th dose from the vials. So our pool increased a little bit, or we were able to fill voids here and there. So we will have to go back to a regional for the second dose because it has to match the number of people we got vaccinated. So we do plan to have a second one, and it will be at this time at the Marshall County Fairgrounds. Those that dates, the times, and so on will be announced later. But right now, you don't need to call in to us or Marshall or Wetzel Tyler. That database, that new phone database, should suffice, as we were told, to get your reservation for that clinic.
Howard, you had, I don't know exactly how many, for the 4 counties, how many doses were available or whether it was done by per county. How many doses did Ohio County have to give out, for example, on Friday?
The way we split it up, almost in thirds, so I had 135. Marshall County had 135, and Wetzel Tyler had 130. We just did it very quickly versus mathematically on a population. That would have been a little bit of cumbersome, and we just made it easy. You have to do it in 5s or 10s, depending on the vaccine, such as if it's Moderna or a Pfizer product.
I saw something over the weekend out of Charleston. Charleston did 3,870 vaccines on Friday. Did they get that many more vaccine doses than Ohio County did, for example?
Absolutely, but they also are vaccinating for a larger region in that location. That is a larger county, period. It's a larger region, period. You're looking at, the counties that surround Kanawha County have a larger population pool. So they did get more, absolutely, and it's only because of the population size.
It just seems like that's an awfully big difference, 135 compared to 3,800 plus.
Yeah.
But okay, and I noted that Mon County not too long ago had a day of, I think, 700 and some they did.
Well, keep in mind, not too long ago we did. I think it was 500.
Okay.
It was spread out. We took a different model. Every county will do a different model. We spread ours out because we had active clinics all the time, and to spread it out so that we weren't crowding people into lines. We spread it out a little bit more, so we had social distancing and did it over about a week versus a mass model where you walk in and stand in line or wait for your turn, get vaccinated, and wait your 15 minutes and leave. Depends on the venue. Lou Vargo with Emergency Management and I look at a lot of venues to hold mass clinics or community-style clinics, and you got to have room because the last thing you want to do is put everybody into a small venue in lines with a respiratory virus that can be easily transmitted from one to another. So sometimes we have to be a little creative. Some of our venues are already used or have another purpose right now. We're not wild, especially on a local level, about drive-through clinics. There is some problems with those in winter weather, as well as when you drive in, how to park, how you're watched versus walking in so I can watch you after your inoculation before you leave. So every county did it a little different, but the system in the end was the same, which is get an individual in, get he or she vaccinated safely, and then work to that second dose.
You haven't done any drive-through clinics, have you?
Not for vaccination. For testing, we do.
Right, I know, but not for vaccination, though, right?
No, vaccination, you assume a lot of times that the individuals will not be infectious. However, across the country during community vaccination clinics where you come in and walk in and get vaccinated, they have reported individuals coming in sick. And that's why we try to tell people, make sure you don't have a fever, cough, you're not positive, you finished your isolation or quarantine, and then come get vaccinated. But they've had people come in and it resulted in exposures. But if you spread people out, you're going to have less likelihood of exposures. Drive-throughs do have, challenges. You have to line people up in cars, which takes a little more space. You have to have enough volunteers and staff to move people through quickly, so they're not standing or packed on each other as far as waiting in line. So car drive-throughs are very popular and do work if you run them in a large area where you can watch people, line them up so they're not clogging a city street or a state highway or a state road of some kind.
Got a couple of texts here just came in. Howard, just registered this morning on the Watching the COVID-19 website. I had no problems. I'm glad to hear that. They registered easily. Good question here. Question from a text from some of my listeners. To register now, do you have to be 65 or older?
Actually, the way the system works, anybody can register that's able to get the vaccine. Remember, there's age requirements for the vaccine, both for Moderna and Pfizer. Anybody can register if they're of the age that's appropriate. You just may have to wait a while.
Okay.
But right now, the focus for the state is 65 and over.
But you don't have to be. I mean, if you're under 65 right now, you can register.
Yes.
It's just you probably won't be given.
Right.
You won't be given an appointment just yet.
Yes, and keep in mind, as we move to a style where counties are setting up clinics for a county, you may have other opportunities for that vaccination, including workplace, because I fit a certain work criteria, or you may get called because we need a body to get in here to finish up a 10-dose vial, and we need to pull from the list and get someone in here as quickly as we can, so you don't waste those 2 doses.
Howard, we all have heard the rationale behind there being limited supply right now, questions about it coming from the manufacturer, federal government allocating it to the states. I certainly don't fault the health departments, nor do I even fault Governor Justice. It seems like, well, when we've got vaccine, we allocate it. But do you have any reason to believe that we'll see a larger number of vaccines coming in the near future?
No, I think it'll be kind of around the same amount that we've been looking at if we stay with 2 products. I do not anticipate large amounts of vaccine coming in. It'll probably stay at with 2 products about the same amount. Now, if a 3rd product arrives on the market, we could see a small uptick. And it's the same reason you saw a small uptick with the Pfizer and Moderna. Those are already in production as they await for approval, and they can get out a larger group into the pipeline for states. But with just 2 products on hand, it's going to stay about the same or smaller.
What can you tell us about this business of 6 doses per vial versus 5 doses per vial and so on? I've been reading a bit about that, but I'm a little bit confused. And I understand, and I think it's Pfizer, and Pfizer says that because they've discovered that you can get 6 doses per vial, they may actually decrease the number of vials they send out. At least I think that's what I heard. What can you tell me about that?
So, a vial versus a pre-filled syringe. A pre-filled syringe will have the correct dose in there for the individual, whether it's measles, an MMR, or hep, or eventually if they ever have it for COVID. A vial, when you reconstitute a Pfizer product with a diluent and you reconstitute it, depending on the syringe you use, the smaller syringe, the easier it is to get the dose out, you can have a little left over. And that little can create, on a Pfizer product, can create a sixth vaccine, which means there was enough product left in the vial that allows the health department, the clinic, et cetera, to vaccinate a sixth person. Now, the Moderna can do the same. Less likely, but it can do the same on a 10-dose vial. You do not reconstitute it. But you can sometimes, depending on the syringe, achieve an 11th dose. Now, what that means is if you have a clinic of 10 people, you now have the ability to vaccinate 12. For example, with the Moderna. And with Pfizer, the same thing. You have the ability to add 4 more people in there. So it is beneficial, but it's not a guarantee that there'll be a 6th and an 11th dose. It's just how it works. And sometimes the clinician will say, I'm going to go to the side of caution here, and we're not going to try to get that 6th dose or 11th dose, and we'll just use 5 doses out of Pfizer and 10 out of Moderna.
You have to have a special syringe, though, to get that last dose out. At least, again, that's my understanding. And not all of the doses, not all of the shipments are coming with those kinds of syringes. Again, am I right about that?
Right. So the syringes and products that we receive are, whatever they can get into the hub and then ship it out to a county or a clinic. And sometimes the syringes are appropriate no matter what. They are appropriate for giving a vaccine. But if you have a smaller syringe, such as a TB syringe or an insulin syringe, you're able to get a vaccine a whole lot easier, especially that 6th dose.
Okay. Howard, I'll let you go. I'm going to give the website and the phone number for our listeners in a minute here, because people are asking me how do they do this, and I'll tell them in a second. But from now on, first of all, if somebody is in your system, like for their 2nd dose, they don't have to call the website or contact the website for follow-up, right? I mean, that's already in the system now, right?
That's in the system. It's a federal system called VAMS, VAMS. And those individuals are in there as receiving a 1st dose. And so the system will eventually pull from VAMS. It may be a couple weeks of trial and error. Did we get everybody, or does the county need to call Mrs. Jones to get her in here for her 2nd? But the systems will work together so that you're never needing to call. It's more of, they'll call you or notify you.
And you have a clinic set for Friday, but nobody needs to call you this time around. Use this new website to get registered.
We have clinics all week, both for higher education, 2nd dose Pfizer starting Wednesday, and then we'll have a larger clinic with our partners down in Marshall County for Friday. And again, you do not have to, that's what the public wanted, is some sort of a system where I just dump my information and wait. Hopefully this will work, and will be our first trial for our area to make sure the system pulls off everything we need, and we got people vaccinated.
All right. Howard, I appreciate your time this morning, as always. Thanks a lot. I know you've
All right,
been
see you later.
busy these days. Talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Howard Gamble is the health administrator at the Ohio County Health Department, and so the new vaccination registration system is up and running now. Have at least one texter who said that they've just used it this morning. I saw a couple of notes on Facebook over the weekend. Some people actually tried early, and somebody answered the phone and put them in the system. A couple of them tried, and somebody answered early and said, no, I'm not going to put them in the system. But at any rate, it's up and running as of now. Now, somebody texted me, Howard, where do you go on the DHHR website to register? And the short answer is I don't know. I know that originally they said you could go to the DHHR website. However, there is and that may still be true, I don't know. There is a separate website that you can go to. It is vaccinate.gov. .wv.gov. So if you want to get registered for the COVID vaccine, vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate.wv.gov. That's a direct website to go to. I believe, in answer to my texter's question, I think there may be a way to access that from the DHHR website, but just simplest thing, vaccinate.wv.gov. And if you are not internet savvy or you don't want to use the online system, you can call a phone number and they will take your information. I think they basically take name, address, some real brief medical information to see if you have underlying conditions and so on, and then put you in the system. And that phone number is, please write this down if you want to call, 833-734-0965. 833-734-0965. Again, I want to stress this is a registration system. Your name will then be in the database, and when there is vaccine available in your area and you are up for that vaccine, you will be notified. This is not guaranteeing you an appointment. Nobody will say, now that you're in the system, I'll see you on Tuesday at 10. It's not that kind of thing. It's a registration system, so don't get frustrated. But at least it is a registration system, and hopefully it'll work out. Again, vaccinate.wv.gov or the phone number 833-734-0965, 833-734-0965. And West Virginia is farming this out to a third party called Everbright or Evenbright. I forget the name of the company exactly, but this is not being done by the state per se. It's being done by a third-party company contracted with the state. Hopefully it'll make things easier. We'll have to wait and see. But again, keep in mind, until we get more vaccine, it's still going to be a long, hard slog. And I'm hoping that more vaccine becomes available soon, but we shall have to wait and see. All right, it's 8:30. Thanks to Howard Gamble again for joining us here this morning. Governor Justice held a inauguration ceremony on Friday. Talked about his first term, what he thought was successful, and what he wants to do in his second term. And on hand for that was our old friend Stephen Allen Adams, the Ogden newspaper chain. Stephen's with us coming up in the next hour of the show to kind of reflect on what the governor had to say and that ceremony. Before that, though, I want to get to a couple of these broadcasting obituaries and a few other odds and ends. Right now, what I want to do is go to the news desk of the Big 7, WTRF TV, check some Ohio Valley headlines for you. And then Tony's in, Tony Caridi. He's got the Morning Mountaineer Report. All coming up on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your look.
All right, Biffy, back in a minute. I'm back, Biffy. Unless we end up with any phone calls, we'll do Larry King coming up next.
Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together, we will get through this.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Find your style with Patriot Lighting from Menards. We carry a great selection of interior lighting products. Check out the Leaf Island light. Its stylish design will add a modern touch to any kitchen with its satin nickel frame and graphite accents.
Hasn't warmed up yet? Okay, well, it's 2 degrees warmer than it was when you started.
Providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Mostly cloudy with showers on and off through the afternoon, a high near 40 degrees, your overnight low of 35 with a few scattered showers remaining. We'll see those scattered showers through the earlier part of your Tuesday, otherwise mostly cloudy, with temperatures in the low 50s for daytime highs. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
You're listening to The Watchdog, now on FM at 97.7 and 98.1. Sounds so clear. Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson were just discussing it.
Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Crystal.
The Watchdog, live and local talk radio, just the way you like it.
The Valley's most interesting conversations continue now on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name.
It is 8:46, 14 till the hours. It's still 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. A very light wind blowing around 3 miles an hour right now. Makes the 27 feel like 23 degrees. 27 at the airport, 27 here at my home studios, 27 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. That's the outside temperature. Biffy, what is it inside there at the studio?
64.
Ah. Well, you could hang some meat there and get it frozen.
You could do that. I thought about getting a barrel and building a little fire in here, or I don't know, maybe wait until 9 o'clock and make a cup of coffee just to get my hands warm.
Not laughing at you, pal.
Oh, I mean, it's just it actually has warmed up 4 degrees within the last 2 hours, because when I first got in here, it was 60.
Yikes.
So now it's a balmy 64.
It's a pleasant 72 here at my home studios, just if you want to think about that at least.
Yeah, maybe the mind will think about it, and it'll warm up and it'll go to my hands or something. I don't know.
Sorry about that. I know these cold days it can be a little chilly in there, and I guess they don't fire things up until later in the day, I guess, huh?
Oh, I don't know. I've quit trying to figure that out. That's just something a while ago. It's like whatever, but yeah, if
you don't have those gloves on, do you, that have like the fingers out, so you kind of look like hobo gloves. You know what I'm talking about? They have the gloves with no fingers in them, so you can push the buttons but still stay warm. And you could do that.
No, I think Lola has a pair of them, and she's going to need them when she gets in. So yeah, I've got gloves out in my car that I had to use this morning, but didn't think to bring them in here because I didn't think I would need them.
Yeah, no, they were good for helping to scrape the windshield outside and get things taken care of outside. But who would have thunk once you're in the building you're still frigid? Well, again, I'm sorry to hear that. It's a dozen before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Hey, I want to take a second to talk about an auction coming up. Today is the last day for bidding. It's an online auction put on, of course, by our good friends at Frio Stack Auction Service. The bidding closes today at 10 o'clock. So if you want to check this out, go to freeauction.com and look up the upcoming events, and then you can get registered and place bids if you want to, and so on. Some advertising, clocks, neon signs, collectibles, stoneware, toys, mid-century furnishings, and a good bit more. Apparently it's coming out of Morgantown. These things are out of Morgantown, if I'm reading my notes here correctly. But you can get more info by going to freeauction.com and looking on the upcoming events. It is an online auction, online only, and the bidding closes today at 10 o'clock. So you might want to check it out real fast. If you have an interest in it, place your bids, get registered, and then place your bids before 10 o'clock this morning. A second online auction is underway, or will be underway soon, with bidding closing on Monday, February the 1st. What is that, next Monday? February 1st, next Monday, Biff?
February 1st yes, it is, next Monday.
Yeah. So it's another online auction. Bidding closes next Monday at 10 o'clock. Previews will be held, previews are underway online right now. Let's see, they've got advertising clocks, neon signs, lighted clocks, Bud Light beer, United Dairy clocks, Duke Beer, Duquesne Brewing Company advertising, great deal more. Again, if you want to get more info, go to the full listing of it at freoauction.com, and then just click on the upcoming events and look at pictures and listings of what's up for auction. But again, auction number 1 today, online only. Bidding ends at 10 o'clock this morning. So if you have an interest in that, you might want to check it out. There are some collectibles there and advertising items and so on. And then a second online auction next week with the bidding closing next Monday, a week from today, at 10 o'clock in the morning as well. So check those things out at freoauction.com. Our good friend Jim Frio and Shane Stack, 2 great guys. And I'm feeling bad I haven't seen either one of them for a long time. But then again, baby, I haven't seen anybody for a long time.
No, you haven't, have you?
I see you once a week when I stop into the office for our meetings, and that's pretty much it. So,
yeah, that's been about it, really.
Yeah. I don't get to see Billy because Billy is off on Wednesday. It's the one day of the week I'm there. It's the one day he's not there. That is not by design. I want to be clear. I didn't design it that way. I just, the meetings that I go to are on Wednesdays, and Bill's not there. But at least I get to chat with you and Lola and Kayleen and JoJo and Big Rick and all those guys when I get a chance to pop in. It's 9 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. I used to just absolutely love, I would have him occasionally as a guest, but more just sitting down and talking to him, Biff. An Ohio Valley broadcast pioneer, Frank Curtis. I don't know if you knew Frank or not.
I did not.
He was, first of all, what a gentleman he was. Just an absolute gentleman. He was somebody told me he was and I can't remember this to be the case, but I will take it to be true. He was the very first voice heard on WTRF radio, which was what eventually became WOMP AM and FM. But when it first went on the air back in 1953, it was WTRF, and that stood for, and Frank Curtis is the guy who told me this, it stood for With Two Radio Frequencies, WTRF. Bob Ferguson was a key player in the company, at the radio station, and of course, more importantly, at the TV station later. And most folks thought that a TRF had something to do with Robert Ferguson, but not so, said Frank. It was With Two Radio Frequencies, because when they were on the air, they had an AM and FM frequency, both, and that was unusual at the time. So 1953, and Frank was among the early employees there and may have been the very first voice that was heard. Then, of course, WTRF was sold, the radio station was sold, and they opened up the TV station in Wheeling, and Frank was there for, well, the rest of his career. It was so much fun to listen to him talk about the stories of the old days, Biff. They were literally creating television. They were literally, there was no such thing as television. There was no such thing, TV news, what was that? I don't know. Let's get some desks and chairs out here and talk news. They were just making it up on the fly. And Frank was among those who did that for a long time. Frank died this weekend at the age of 95. And I feel bad because I've recently been thinking about getting in touch with him again just to talk some more about the old days of radio and television. What a treasure trove of stories he was. And again, I begin with what a tremendous gentleman he was. Just an absolute first-rate gentleman. And just the nicest guy you could ever meet. But what stories. What stories of the old days he could tell.
How many are we allowed to tell?
Well, there is that too. There is that too. You know, our own chief engineer, Joe Dumas, was part of that team as well, way back when. And Joe sometimes tells stories. I have a couple of stories of Romper Room that he told that we can't tell on the air. But think about it, because these days we know what television is, and television news is, and how it works, and so on. And you see some variations of it, but not a lot of new creative ideas, right? It's still a desk and a chair and, anchor people and weatherman and but when they did it, there was nothing. They did it out of Okay, what do we do? Well, let's bring a desk and a chair in here. Now what do we do? Well, okay, somebody could sit there and read the news, I suppose. I mean, it was just, they were creating it out of whole cloth. They created television news as we know it. And of course, back in those days at WTRF TV, there were lots and lots of local programs. Romper Room, I mentioned, many other local shows. Of course, the Santa Claus show and I don't know, Dialing for Dollars or those kinds of things. It was always just, there was a lot of local television programming, and how neat that was, how absolutely neat that was. And Frank Curtis was part of that whole thing. I don't know how long ago it's been since he retired. He's been retired for quite some time, but always was happy to talk about the old days. And I will miss him. I really will. I always think about the stories that fade away when some folks, the more and more people begin to pass away, the stories that fade away,
Yeah, when you think about it, and I'm sure probably a wealth of knowledge and information that he had.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there are people creating television out of whole cloth and what it was like. And radio, too, for that matter. Again, and now radio had been around for a while, but in 1953, they created the radio stations that were, again, eventually we got to know them as WOMP radio, and they've given up those call letters now. I forget what they call them. I think they're Willie. Willie. What kind of name is Willie?
It's a country name, I think.
I guess. I know what they're going for, but somehow Willie Radio just doesn't work for me. But that's, our old friend Joe Dumas, I mentioned Joe is the engineer for us here at the radio station, the Watchdog, and he was part of those early days of television too, and he has great stories to tell. But, Joe's, I think he's been making notes. He's always talking about writing a book. And I hope that he does someday because he's got great, great stories to tell. Again, not all of them should be told, for sure.
Limitations up on him yet, or what?
What's that?
Are the statute of limitations up on him yet, or what?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't. Hopefully so. Hopefully so. But. I hope that more local folks write this stuff down. Bob Doris, hey, hello, it's Bob Doris, has at least written a whole series of blog postings about the heyday of rock and roll radio here in Wheeling back when WK was the big WK AM was the big rock and roller, one of the nationally recognized radio stations. And he hasn't written a book, but he's at least got a whole bunch of blog postings up that kind of chronicle the careers of people here during those heydays of the good guys. There's just so much of. I've often thought about writing a history of Ohio Valley radio and television, but you got to have the source material. And again, the more people pass away, the less source material that you have. I went looking through my audio archives over the weekend, and somewhere I've got some interviews with Frank Curtis, but I couldn't put my hands on them real quickly. The other celebrity broadcaster who passed away this weekend was Larry King. We'll reflect a bit on his life and career coming up in the next hour of the show, and we'll kick the next hour off by talking to Stephen Adams about Governor Justice and his inauguration ceremony on Friday and what the Gov has in mind for term number 2. It's all coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC.
Do we have games this week? Let me know when Steven's on. Do we have games this week? Okay. 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 All right. I'm going to mention that because I forgot to mention last week's game. I don't want to forget this week. Okay, Doug. Thanks. That was Steven. Good deal.
Any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel in yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
Does this current crisis leave you wondering how to pay your bills? Well, a lot of people are struggling right now. I'm attorney Tom McIntyre. Call me today to schedule your telephone or video conference meeting, and I will send you a copy of my new book about bankruptcy, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Call 877-456-4155. Together, we will figure out what to do now and what to do when this is over. We will get through this together.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Mostly cloudy with showers on and off through the afternoon, a high near 40 degrees, your overnight low of 35 with a few scattered showers remaining. We'll see those scattered showers through the earlier part of your Tuesday, otherwise mostly cloudy, with temperatures in the low 50s for daytime highs. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Good evening, everyone.
It's morning.
It's morning.
It's morning. Guess you don't know what today is.
What's today?
What's today?
Why, it's opposite day. Today's opposite day.
I forgot. It's opposite day.
Is it opposite day already?
Happy opposite day. Opposite day is the one day of the year when you get to act different.
Happy opposite day.
Show's over.
Did you get it?
Opposite day.
News, information, conversation, controversy, and fun. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Opposite day reminds me of a Seinfeld episode, but then again, just about everything can be taken back to Seinfeld. In fact, when we do our tribute to Larry King coming up a bit later on, I've got a clip from Larry King and Seinfeld on the old CNN Larry King show that I'll play for you. But first, what's coming up today, or where have we been today? Here on the show, plans for Wheeling Park High School students to return to classrooms today have been scuttled as Ohio County went back to red for part of the weekend on the COVID map, and so it's a remote day today. When the new DHHR map comes out today, we'll see what tomorrow is going to be like for Wheeling Park High School. New website up today for those who want to register for the COVID vaccines when they become available. Ohio County Health Administrator Howard Gamble was in with us to talk about that. COVID numbers increased in West Virginia this weekend, although the hospitalization rate is down, and we are still number one, in a good number one, for community spread, the R0 rate. Governor Justice's inauguration was held this weekend. Ogden newspaper reporter Stephen Allen Adams coming up in a minute to talk with the governor's thoughts on his second term. Two broadcasting deaths to take note of today. A pioneer in the early days of Ohio Valley television and radio, Frank Curtis, passed away over the weekend, and what a treasure trove of stories Frank had. I used to love talking to him. And, of course, trailblazing radio TV interviewer Larry King passed away as well. We'll take some time to talk about that in a bit. Impeachment articles coming to the U.S. Senate today, and the trial date is set. We'll look at some possible Trump GOP defense strategies. The Super Bowl is set as well. It's going to be a much quieter Super Bowl than normal. No huge parties and festivities and a big 2-week ramp up. It's just basically going to be a game, and we'll talk about that. We did talk about that earlier this morning. Weather-wise, we're looking for kind of a wintry mix this morning. Gray and overcast skies throughout the day today. Some freezing fog earlier this morning. Windshields had to be scraped, light scrape down low, tougher scrape up high. And also slick spots on the roads. I don't have a current update, but certainly as of a couple of hours ago when we started the show, I got lots and lots of reports of black ice in the upper Ohio Valley. So please be aware of that. And it may not be out there anymore. Although it hasn't warmed up much. So probably still some black ice for you to worry about. 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. A little light wind, 5-mile-an-hour wind blowing around. That makes it feel like 21 degrees outside. So 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 27 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. And 27 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. I expected this to happen, and I'm seeing it's already happening. West Virginia's new vaccine registration website went up this morning. Many of you have already gotten registered. You have either called and or gone online and gotten yourself registered. And I tried to warn you earlier, this is a registration website. It puts you in the system, but it's not giving you an appointment for a vaccine. That only occurs when vaccines happen. And I'm seeing some complaining on Facebook already. I called that website. They said I couldn't get a vaccine yet. It's a registration website. You will be registered. You won't have to worry about calling in, a call center or calling in, getting repeated busy signals or repeated unanswered signals like you did before, perhaps. But it's good. And when you get through, either on the phone or online, you will present your information, name, address, phone number, some basic medical information, and then you will be in the database. And then when in your area for your age group / medical situation, vaccines become available, then you will be notified that there's a vaccine for you. This is not a vaccine appointment website. And I was really afraid, and I'm seeing some people complaining about that already on Facebook. I was really afraid that people were going to misunderstand this. So again, go to vaccinate.wv.gov. It's hopefully a very efficient and easy way to get this done. Or call 833-734-0965. You will be registered and you will be alerted when there is vaccine for you. But this is not a vaccine appointment website, and I was really concerned that could happen. Let's talk about that and some other things in the state of West Virginia with State House reporter for the Ogden newspaper chain, Stephen Allen Adams. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning, Howard. How's it going?
Good. I was nervous that people were going to misconstrue what this website was about. And again, based on just a couple of quick Facebook posts I'm seeing, some folks did indeed misconstrue it. This is a registration website, not an appointment website.
Yeah. One of the issues we've had, and it's sort of a good problem to have, but it's a problem nonetheless, is the fact that you've had county health departments, state vaccination hotlines, other people have their phones ring off the hook for people trying to get in and get these appointments, particularly for age 65 and older. It's a good problem to have. It shows that there's interest. It shows that there's not a whole lot of fear about getting the vaccine, and that's very important. But it does create the problem of jammed phone lines. And now in this case, you got people that obviously don't quite understand, and understandably so, because it's brand new. It just came out, and not a whole lot of details were released about it. In fact, from what I understood, I thought it was only going to be people age 65 and older, as well as certain essential workers that were even going to be able to register or pre-register. I think it's open, but from what I understand, it's open to anyone to go ahead and get themselves in the system. And the system's actually pretty neat. It's a system other states and other businesses use. For example, if you have a chemical plant fire, if you use this system, it's meant to push out emergency alerts. If you work there, to make sure that people get the right information, where to go, where to evacuate, the status, that sort of thing. So this is the first time it's being used for this sort of thing. There's going to be some bugs. There's going to be a little bit of growing pains. So everyone just needs to be a little patient with it.
And I'm like you. I thought it was only for those 65 and older. But according to Howard Gamble from the Ohio County Health Department, who we talked to last hour, no, anybody can register. But they will still, in terms of getting appointments, it will still follow at the moment, it's, 65 and older are those who get appointments. If you're 28 years old, you will not be in an early appointment schedule. So, but anybody can get registered. At least at that point, you're in the system, and theoretically, you wouldn't have to worry about calling anymore. They'll call you when the time comes.
We're
I'm
the first
hoping
state
it works out.
we're the first state, from what I understand, to even implement a system quite like this. And I don't know if you had seen the New York Times article that came out yesterday. We were already getting accolades. We were already getting accolades nationally because, as you know, Governor Jim Justice chided us state reporters for not being more positive and writing more positive articles about the vaccine rollout. So I feel like I've done a good job at that. But New York Times had a really good article that came out yesterday profiling what we've done that's worked, and even talking a little bit about what hasn't worked in some of the growing pains I just mentioned a little bit ago. But this system, being the first of its kind to do this sort of thing, could well be something other states look to as an example for trying to figure out exactly how you roll the vaccine out, particularly when it becomes available. More doses, more vaccines, because we got Johnson & Johnson coming online soon, AstraZeneca after that. How we roll this out to the general population as a whole, which is phase 2. So if this works, for what they're wanting it to work for, it could be an example to other states.
I have a lot of criticism for Governor Justice over the year, and I certainly stand by those criticisms. But I have to say, in terms of getting the vaccine set up and getting it distributed, to the extent that we have vaccine, and the fact that we don't is not his fault. The state has done a very good job. The state has done a very good job. And there's a reason that we get some accolades for that. We also continue to be, I think, the lowest R-naught number in the state, so we still are lowest in terms of community in the country, I should say. So we're still
2 weeks in a row.
So we're still number one for community spread, the lack of community spread. And the governor does deserve credit for all that. Now, I'm with you, Stephen. I think that the statewide media has done a good job of pointing out where there's been success. But our job also is to sometimes point out where there are pitfalls and problems. And I guess that's what, we know the governor doesn't care much for anybody who criticizes him.
Well, it's true. I mean, here at the end of the day, national media can give us all the accolades they want, but they see a blip on the radar that's a good thing and gives us good headlines. But the rest of us live here, so we got to write about other things as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And we still, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. I was going to ask about this later, and we still are in a situation where the governor is keeping you, the statewide media, not me because I don't get involved in these things, but he's still keeping you at arm's length in these press conferences, right?
That's correct, yeah. We're still in a situation where, for example, today at 11 o'clock, we'll go into a Zoom waiting room, and when the briefing starts, we'll listen to Governor Justice and all the state health officials, and then they'll open it up for questions. We get one question each. We don't get follow-ups, and then it's over. So we're still in that situation. I don't know how long that's going to continue to last. I mean, in one way, the governor's office does take this real seriously, and of course we'll talk about the inauguration here in a moment, but there's certainly social distancing taking place there, and masks were required even outside, so they were obviously, they're very cautious about that. But with that said, they've all, I believe, pretty much everyone that's in that room, from the governor to assistants to people to run that live stream to even the people doing the sign language, want to understand, all have vaccinations, and at this point would probably be fully vaccinated with both doses. The press hasn't been opened up for vaccines yet, as far as I know or have heard. So, but point being, most of the people in that room would be vaccinated. So I think they could open this up. In many ways, it's good just because out of state, or not out of state, but like reporters and other parts of the state can participate in this. But it really is kind of keeping us from being able to ask quick follow-up questions, say if they don't accurately or don't understand the question or try to get around the question in some way. We just don't have that ability right now.
Well, and I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy there too, if I may say so. I think that the governor is insisting that students go back to classrooms, either a full model or a blended model, as of last week and this week with high schools. So this over the objection of many of the teachers, for example, who feel that it's not ready yet for that. But he's sending the kids back into the classrooms and teachers back into the classrooms, but he's still holding himself out inside his own little bubble. And I find some hypocrisy there as well. That's just me. Maybe you don't concur, but I think it's awfully hypocritical.
No, I think you're right. And it's not even just the governor's office, but for example, the State Board of Education, their meetings are closed to the general public right now as well. And we have to stream those. They had an emergency meeting last week. They're supposed to meet tomorrow in regards to the 3 counties that I believe have all had emergency meetings themselves and have brought themselves in line with the directives by the State Board to have all middle, elementary and pre-K students in school, regardless of the map color, and for high schools to be open unless their county is in the red. So they probably won't have anything to actually do Tuesday since I think everybody's in line. The point being, you can't cover those meetings in person either. So if you can't cover those meetings in person, it makes you wonder why they are so keen on not following or listening to the concerns of the teachers and teachers unions that, if nothing else, just want to see their teachers fully vaccinated before they go back.
Phil Tabler yesterday in his State House Beat column suggested there could be some potential problems with the media having full access to legislative coverage this year as well. Do you worry about that?
Yeah, I do a little bit. Obviously, they're trying to keep the social distancing guidelines, and you've been in the House chamber and the Senate chamber, and you've been at the Capitol. Particularly on the House side, there is no social distancing there. You really can't, because you've got 100 House members and plus staff. So that's pretty tight quarters anyway. They've got press up in one of the galleries, and then on the House side, one side of the gallery is set aside for lawmakers that don't want to wear a mask, because you have to wear one on the floor, even though there's a couple that are already flouting that rule, and they met here a couple weeks ago. And then the other gallery on the opposite side from them is for delegates that don't feel comfortable with the social distancing situation on the floor and feel safer there where they can spread out. And then general public isn't even allowed in the Capitol building at this point. You're only allowed in by appointment. So you pretty much have to be a special guest of a lawmaker. So imagine the lobbyists that are going to be, coming in as, in essence, guests of the lawmakers. Now they have a section out in the hallway for them to watch the proceedings on TV. Why they can't just do that from their laptops at home, I don't know. But point being, general public's not allowed in. And not only that, but we're not allowed on the floor as reporters even before the floor session starts, which obviously causes issues because a lot of times a lot of the information we get from lawmakers is just casually talking to them before or after a floor session starts. So it limits our direct interaction with lawmakers too. And I understand the concerns. You got to take in social media, social distancing, and of course mask wearing is a must. But at the same time, we got to be able to have access to lawmakers a little easier, and this kind of allows lawmakers to duck away from us pretty quickly if there's something they don't want to answer.
And that's my concern, and I certainly concur that you have to be careful about the spread of COVID. You have to have social distancing guidelines. You have to have some regulations in effect. I get that. I have no objection to that, but it does seem to me that. Honestly, I wonder if they haven't looked at what the governor's been able to do, which is basically keep the media at bay, and said, well, this works pretty well. We don't have to have those nasty guys like Brad McElhenney or Stephen Allen Adams asking us nasty questions, so we'll just keep them away.
Well, the other frustration is the fact that they didn't even release a lot of these rules for the media until either the week prior, or in the House case, we didn't get a lot of this stuff till 24 hours before the floor session started. So we've been asking, I know the West Virginia Press Association had been pushing to try to find out what the protocols would be for months now, and even up until the first week of January, you couldn't get an answer. Nobody knew, and nobody really knew as far as for how their own proceedings were going to go. Delegates had not been told exactly what the policies and the procedures were going to be. So this is been a little concerning, but we'll see how it goes next month when they come back on February 10th.
And it is going to be really difficult for the lobbyists. I mean, I think the well's actually been closed for a couple of years because of construction, but I used to just get such a kick out of watching all the activity right there around the well, as they would all gather and whisper in each other's ear about, what they need, what they want, what they can do for you. All of that's going to change dramatically. I wonder, though, what happens. Lobbyists aren't going to just give up their lobbying. So does this push things back out to, will we have more dinners and drinks at the local restaurants and so on as a way for lobbyists to get together with legislators? I'm not sure it may be better from a COVID point of view, but I don't know from an ethics point of view if that's even any better.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, it's definitely going to change how they do their jobs. Obviously, they have implemented some new rules, particularly when it comes to things, say, public hearings. Now, public hearings are a pretty big part, particularly on the House side. Senate doesn't really do public hearings, but the House side, anyone, with the sponsorship of a delegate can request a public hearing, and sometimes they're a little performative, but sometimes they're important for people, everyday people, to be able to let their voices be heard on a piece of legislation. And that's all going to go digital. They're not going to have anybody in the building for that, so that's going to kind of create some real issues, I would predict. And then on the lobbyist front, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're going to see a lot more I would say clandestine things they have to report. Obviously, dinners they have to report to the Ethics Commission, but I mean, it creates opportunities for them to try to meet in other ways, and some of those ways are not very transparent. At least when they're in the building, even with the well being temporarily gone, I think it may come back here in the spring since the dome has been uncovered finally. Having them in the building is better than not having them in the building at all, because I think it creates some interesting opportunities to try to reach out to lawmakers in ways, again, that aren't very transparent.
Talking to Stephen Allen Adams from the Ogden newspaper chain. Stephen, the dome, I guess, was gleaming bright for the governor's inauguration on Friday, right?
Yeah, it was a little chilly, but we had the sun out, and it was a very socially distanced ceremony. General public, for the most part, weren't allowed in, just guests. Everyone had to be, well, in light of the various security concerns that have now been come to light after the U.S. Capitol attack and the possibility of protesters at state capitals. Security was very tight, and of course, since the river side of the Capitol is also closed off, where they're doing renovations on the steps and fixing the concrete over there. The ceremony this time was on the north side, the side where the reproduction of the Liberty Bell is on. And again, very socially distanced ceremony, even on the risers. Traditionally, you'd see, tons of state police and West Virginia National Guard members, lined up in parade formations and things like that. But you didn't see a lot of that this time. And of course, everyone had already been sworn in officially. Many of them got sworn in at midnight Monday, later in the week as well. So this was ceremonial, but this was also the first address that the governor was able to give. And it was very short inaugural address. Touched on a lot of things that happened over the last 4 years that he was able to do, such as teacher pay raises back to back, roads to prosperity, dealing with the budget hole that he had inherited when he came in 2017, things of that nature. Obviously, it focused a lot on COVID. They did obviously a memorial moment of silence to that, and gave some thanks to all the essential workers, National Guard, health officials in the county and state levels for all they've done during this pandemic. But Justice's speech was very short, very optimistic, not a whole lot of hints as to what he's looking at doing for this year or the next 4 years of the second term. But it was a very nice event.
Now, here's my question. Did he bring out the tackle box and axe again?
He sure did. He sure did. I talked to one of Justice's communications people kind of asking if he was going to touch on that, and they had told me that he might, but there was going to be a big blockbuster thing to watch, and of course the big blockbuster thing to watch didn't happen, which was him trying to bring his gigantic bulldog called Baby Dog up on the riser with him, but this dog would not come. He preferred to stay in the grass and in the sunlight, and I can't blame it. But yeah, he did touch on basically, I don't want to say plagiarize, but he did basically give kind of the same speech he gave in 2017 at his first inaugural. He was a Democrat at that point, but it was the same story of the woman at a roadside spot that was trying to sell some things, and he bought this tackle box and this hatchet off of her, and he keeps it in his vehicle and keeps it with him all the time, and he had it at the ready this time as well. The kind of call back to that original story and talk about how that is still his goal to try to help hurting West Virginia.
You know, it's actually a good story, but it's just so West Virginia. You know, Governor Justice is kind of a, you know, he's just a big Southern guy, and you know, I got my tax and I got my tackle box and my axe. It just the image just is so perfect for Governor Justice. Again, it actually is a good story. I get what the point of it, but I have to chuckle. I just knew he was going to bring it back out again. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, his mannerisms and how he talks and the things that he says, I always find, and I don't know if you can talk about any of this maybe, but, you know, I'm from Pleasants County. My dad's from Pleasants County. I find that there's not a disconnect, but if you're not used to hearing a Southern West Virginian, of course, he lives in Greenbrier County. I believe he's originally from Wyoming County. If you're not used to hearing him talk or hearing that drawl, it could be a little jarring for my father. You know, we're Northern West Virginian Yankees, and my dad can't listen to him in a press conference just because he can't get over the drawl and the folksy sayings and that sort of thing. I don't know if it's that way up north and Wheeling as well, but I always find that there's a little bit of a cultural shock between Northern West Virginians when you hear the Southern West Virginians talk.
You know, I think in the past 4 years, though, again, I want to give him credit where credit is due. I criticize him a lot. But I think in the beginning, at least folks up here, and you're right, people in the northern part of the state where that was a strange style that he used, his accent and his mannerisms and his folksisms. In the beginning, it was like, oh, man, this is just almost, you know, such an embarrassing hillbilly stereotype kind of thing. But actually, over the years, I've come to say it kind of defines him. It kind of works for him. You know, I think it's honest. He's not creating an image. It is the way he is. Those crazy sayings he uses or the way he talks, and I think he's been defined by that, and maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was in the beginning.
Yeah, and that's sort of the same way I feel about it too. I've covered him now for the last 2.5, nearly 3 years, and having worked in the building too, you know, when he first came in, he grows on you a little bit. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't things to be critical about, and certainly I have in my articles as well. But I do think that he means well for sure, and when he says he genuinely loves the state, he does, and I think he means that when he talks about that and tells those stories. And that's the other thing about Jim Justice too. I mean, if people want to know why he did so well on the campaign trail, even though there wasn't much of a campaign trail this election cycle, but the times he was able to get out, he's a really good storyteller. And you do listen to him tell those little folksy stories and that sort of thing, and he'll make you laugh. I mean, there are certainly things to be critical about Jim Justice about, but there's some positive aspects there too, and that's why people like him, and that's ultimately why he won.
Yeah, I think you're right. Stephen, appreciate your time this morning. I kept you longer than I planned to. I'm sorry about that, but always good talking to you. And I love to pick your brain to get some of your stories shared with us. We'll no doubt do it again in the near future, but thanks for being with me today. And again, sorry I kept you so long.
Hey, Howard, you can keep me as long as you want. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon. Stephen Allen Adams, he is the State House reporter for the Ogden newspaper chain, and he's one of our team of folks that we pull up here between Mark Curtis and WTRF's Nexstar parent company, and of course Brad McElhenney on a frequent basis from our own Metro News team, and Stephen, kind of our three key players. We bring him in to do a lot of assessment of what's happening down in Charleston because, well, that's where things would be happening these days. 9:38, 22 till the hour. Let's check some headlines. Metro News has some of that for us, and we'll get you some betting lines in here as well. And then we'll head into the home stretch, among other things. We should talk to Bob from the Big Seven and see what they're working on today. But first, let's see what's happening around the state.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
If you have that Jerry Seinfeld cut that I asked for from YouTube, okay, I'm going to try and use that in this next segment. Try and squeeze it in. I will use it first, and then if we have an extra time, I'll use the first cut from Wise Brothers from Conan O'Brien. Just the first one, but I want to use Seinfeld first. So, all right, thanks. Yeah. Sure, why not?
The owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and steam fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
When winter weather strikes the Ohio Valley, you can trust the Storm Tracker 7 weather team to help you plan your day. Our experienced meteorologists stay connected with you on TV, online, and on social. Get your weather information straight from a local source. We'll help you be prepared and make sure you'll never be surprised.
And we do expect dry conditions overnight, tonight, and all day tomorrow.
Meteorologist Dr. Dave Walker, Aaron Mylar, and me, Zach Petty, the Storm Tracker 7 weather team, working for you.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook. Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Mostly cloudy with showers on and off through the afternoon, a high near 40 degrees, your overnight low of 35 with a few scattered showers remaining. We'll see those scattered showers through the earlier part of your Tuesday, otherwise mostly cloudy, with temperatures in the low 50s for daytime highs. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Hi, this is Hoppy Kercheval. West Virginia, in many ways, is a diverse state, often with different issues, challenges, and successes depending on where you live. But we're also a small state, and we're all connected by being West Virginians. Every day from 10:06 till noon, I talk about and provide insight into the events that shape who we are. My approach is tough but fair, and we may disagree, but together we'll stay abreast of what's going on in our great state. Successes, the hardships, the challenges, and of course the politics that contribute to making us who we are. So join me weekdays, 10:06 till noon for Metro News Talk Live.
Follow us on Facebook for the latest news, show updates, podcasts, alerts, and live video streams from the Valley's only network dedicated to local, community-driven talk radio, The Watchdog. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-8255.
It's your turn to talk. From politics to pet peeves, get it off your chest and on the air. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
28 degrees now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. We picked up one little tiny soldier. 28 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 28 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 28 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. That's the outside temperature. Has it warmed up any in there, Biff?
It's bouncing between 64 and 65. I'm at 64 right now.
It might be picking up a degree. That's good. Did you start the barrel of fire yet?
No, I got it outside. I'm getting ready to bring it in at 10.
To warm things up. All right. Quarter before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. We talked earlier about a local broadcaster who passed away this weekend. Frank Curtis, who had been one of the original creators of radio when WTRF was radio in Bel Air, Ohio, a station I worked at for a lot of years. It eventually became WOMP Radio. WTRF was the original call letters because they were with two radio frequencies. And Frank Curtis was the guy who told me that. I didn't know that. And then, of course, TRF became a TV station, and Frank Curtis was a key part of that. And I just loved talking to Frank about the old days of broadcasting here in the Ohio Valley. He was a true gentleman and will be missed. Another broadcasting legend across the country passed away this weekend, Larry King. We know him from his suspenders. We know him from his very unique interview style. He was on radio and television for over 5 decades. Probably best known for hosting his CNN show. It started in 85 and went all the way to 2010, where he had everybody from celebrities to actually men off the street to presidential candidates to presidents. It was just a real eclectic mix of interesting people. That was kind of the approach that Larry King had. I remember Larry, though, first in his role as the overnight host of Larry King, I don't know if they call it Larry King Live, but the Larry King Show on the Mutual Broadcasting System, which was one of the old line radio networks way back when. Larry was one of the first national radio talk show hosts, to be honest with you. Before Larry had it, there was a guy named Gene Shepard who did more of a folksy, tell stories kind of show. When he left, Larry King took over and turned it into more of an interview show. Usually in the early days of Larry's radio show, he did it from a local restaurant or bar in Miami, which is where he was based, and he had all kinds of, interesting celebrities and people coming through, and it was just I remember, that's kind of what I remember Larry King as, a tremendously, I always thought, what a great way that would be, to be a nighttime talk show, broadcasting from a local tavern where people would just come by and stop and talk to you. And that's what Larry did in the overnight hours on the Mutual Broadcasting System. Eventually, he moved to middays, tried to compete with, after Rush Limbaugh had come on the air, he tried to compete with Rush Limbaugh, and he moved to middays. But he probably is best known for his CNN show for all of those years. Died at the age of 87 over this weekend. No cause of death was given. However, apparently had been in the hospital at one point in the past month or so for COVID-19. Now, whether that is what killed him or not, we do not know, at least not at this moment. That's not a cause of death. But he did have COVID-19. He was married, Biffy, 8 times. 8 times.
Wow.
To
That's
7 women. Tried one twice. 8 times to 7 women. Had 5 children. He was asked about that once upon a time, and he said, I like the chase. Why would you do? I like to chase. I guess, like the old thing about, what's a dog do when he catches a car? I guess once you catch the woman, it's time to move on. That was Larry's thoughts. Larry interviewed just about everybody, big names and small, and sometimes it was really interesting what happened. One of my favorite Larry King Live episodes on CNN was when Jerry Seinfeld came on to Larry King Live. Now, this is right after Seinfeld had announced that he, on his own volition, at the top of his game, thought it was time to call it quits, and Seinfeld was going to go off the air because Jerry Seinfeld said, let's go out while we're on top. Apparently Larry King hadn't got the memo.
Lasted how long?
9 years, 180 episodes.
You gave it up, right?
I did, sir.
They didn't cancel you. You canceled them.
You're not aware of this?
No, I'm asking you.
You think I got canceled? Are you under the impression that I got canceled?
Have I hurt you, Jerry?
I thought that was pretty well documented.
Is this still
CNN?
Don't most shows go down a little?
Most people do also. But, yeah, no, I went off the air. I was the #1 show on television, Larry. Do you know who I am?
Jewish guy, Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay.
75 million viewers last episode.
Boy, you don't take it so bad.
Well, that's the big difference between being canceled and being #1.
Okay, I'm sorry. We'll be right back.
Jeez.
B-movie opens.
Can we get a resume in here for me?
B-movie opens
Larry
tomorrow.
Can go over?
Hey, we'll be right back.
I always loved that. And Seinfeld goes, do you know who I am? I don't think Larry King actually meant it in a bad way. I think he was trying to make the point that this was your choice, but it came out as if you weren't canceled, right? Canceled? No, I wasn't canceled. But I love. That's one of my favorite points. One of my favorite episodes of the Larry King of Larry King on CNN. He was on with Conan O'Brien at one point and was asked what he'd like to have happen after his death. And do we have Bob with us? Should I do Bob first, or can we do this, Biffy?
No, we don't have Bob. We're good.
Okay. So this is from the Conan O'Brien show, when basically the conversation got around to Larry King's death.
You plan to be cryogenically frozen. Why?
Okay. I don't believe in an afterlife.
I never made that leap of faith. So that means when you die, it's bye-bye, baby. So the only hope is to be frozen, and then someday they cure whatever you died of, and you're back. So I want to pay attention. When I go,
yeah,
I want to be frozen.
Well, why are you putting the responsibility on me? Now I've got to go busting in to the hospital or wherever, or Dodger Stadium, wherever you are. I got to go busting in and say, everybody back! I'm taking him to the freezer, you know?
Yeah. I have no idea. If, on the presumption that you don't believe there's anything after this, why is it stupid?
I wouldn't say it's stupid.
Give me give me one attack.
The only thing I always think about is, okay, they freeze you, all right? Then they unfreeze you, and then they get you going again. At some point, you gotta go, right?
But wait a second, at least you have another chance.
You just want to have yet another TV show.
What if it's...
You want 30 years from now, you come cracking out of the ice and go, it's Larry King alive! That's what you want.
So he wanted to be frozen. Do I have time for another one, Biffy, or?
We're good.
All right. His final interview happened last year, and he was asked about his frequent health issues. He had all different kinds of health issues, diabetes, and of course, as I mentioned, COVID at the end, but heart problems of significant nature and so on. And he was asked about doing the job for 63 years, and among other things, he says he wished he'd taken better care of himself.
I have been at the head table of life. I've seen evil and good. I've seen bad things and nice things. I get a chance to interview so many people and world leaders. Hey, I've been doing it 63 years. I've interviewed physicists and Nobel Prize winners and heads of state. I'm still just as curious as always. That's the one thing that kept me going, is curiosity. My endless search to learn more never left me. And that has kept me going, and that might be one of the reasons I've gone this far in life, is that I'm insatiably curious. Boy, I never thought I'd live this long. As Mickey Mantle once said, if I thought I'd live this long, I would take better care of myself. Being, as you described, sitting at the table of history, I feel, again, very lucky.
He did have a unique interview style. He never prepared for an interview. And he said he liked it that way because he didn't want to know more than his audience did. So he would just ask what he thought were questions the audience would care to have answered. I read he wrote a couple of books. I being the radio TV guy that I am, I had them, and I read one of them. And then the first line of one of them is, "Why blue?" And he said when he would have a cop on, he says, people might ask, my question was, why blue? Why do you guys wear a blue uniform? Not a brown uniform, not a gray uniform. Why blue was one of the questions he would ask. Now, again, as with the Seinfeld thing, it got him in trouble sometimes because he didn't really know where he was going with the interview. But as a general rule, he was really pretty good about asking. Look, it was not, generally speaking, it wasn't going to be an in-depth, serious, political interview making, face the nation type headlines. But it certainly was always interesting. Larry King, dead at the age of 87. Let's see what the Big Seven is working on today. Bob Westfall's here from WTRF TV. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Howard. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. I slept like 12 hours both Saturday and Sunday. That's unusual for me, but.
At your age, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
There seems to be a lot of ageism in our conversations anymore, Bob. I'm just pointing that out.
Well, you're not much older than I am.
Yeah, well, I'm not much older than everybody, just a little bit. What are you working on today? Something exciting, I hope?
All right, we're going to take a look at the next phase of the bridge project here in Wheeling in Ohio County. We're going to talk to the sheriff. We're going to talk to the Department of Highways. When they start working on the westbound, it could be a huge, huge headache. We were worried this time last year about when this project first began. Well, there's rumblings that this going the other direction could be much, much worse. So we're going to find out what, where, when, and how this is all going to begin. Also, something else that I like this story, Stephanie's going to do this. Seen a few stories across the AP about young kids as young as 3, 4 get a hold of family guns that the family didn't have properly locked or put away and end up shooting themselves or shooting siblings. We're going to talk to Sheriff Tom Howard about that as well. He's a huge gun advocate, supports gun rights, but he also, huge on training your kids. He told me a story about, taking his daughter as a young child hunting and things like that. Just some things you need to know if you're going to own a gun. So I like that piece. And of course, today's 35th annual Media Blood Donor Day. So we will be live there at noon, and we'll cover that for today. So that's kind of a lot of the bigger things we're working on today.
A lot of good stuff coming up. People can check it out at noon, then at 5, 10, 11, and of course the 5:30 statewide show for all the statewide coverage, including the latest on COVID and the new COVID registration website and so on. And of course, people can check it out at WTF.com and on your Facebook page as well.
Yes, sir. Yep. Anything you need, we're going to have it right there.
All right. Appreciate it, Bob. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bob Westphal from the Big 7. That's what they're working on today. Yeah, it's I tend to think it's probably going to be true, Biff. We kind of lucked out with the I-70 project, the eastbound work, and that the Fulton Bridge that was turned down and so on. I have a feeling when they turn this around, it's going to be I just have a feeling it's going to be a more difficult and complicated traffic situation. But again, we thought it was going to be terrible traffic in the beginning. And it turned out not to be that way, so we shall see. Maybe we'll tackle that tomorrow, as a matter of fact, here on the show. But for now, I have to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. Good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, don't get impeached, don't retire. Ticker keeps on ticking. Teddy says it's okay to get back to work tomorrow, Granddad. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, and they go run the big gig. Are you back with me, Biff?
I'm here for a Tuesday.
We will keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
19 variants are emerging to Washington, and they...
All right, Biffy. Good show. Managed to make it work. Stephen was pretty good today, too. And Howard was actually pretty good today, too. So, yeah, so we got that. That turned out all right. I wasn't thinking about it until I heard Bob talk about it. I may try and see if Sheriff Howard wants to come on tomorrow and talk about the I-70 work. I'll have to see. Let's see about that. Of course, we got Squiddy Erie on, too, so... We shall see what happens for tomorrow. I'm not totally sure yet. But I'm thinking right now it's time to order some sausage gravy and biscuits. No, I hope you get warm. All right. If you need me, give me a call. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in the morning. Thanks for your help. I appreciate it. All right, bye.
And Mitt Romney say it's just too big, especially since they just passed this $900 billion package last month, and much of that has yet to be spent. But Biden has to walk a very fine line here. If he gives Republicans too many concessions, well, that could put off some Democrats. And with that near even split in the Senate, Biden has very, very little wiggle room here.
ABC senior White House correspondent Mary Bruce. Another executive order today, President Biden to reverse the controversial transgender military ban, which was reinstated under President Trump. The article of impeachment against former President Trump will be sent over from the White House to the Senate today, the trial to begin the week of February 8th. In a video posted to Twitter, Trump's former press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, saying she's running for governor of Arkansas.
I will courageously lead.
Sanders left the White House in 2019. You're listening to ABC News.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't